All right, I want to go right now to the Liberty University Newsmaker line. The president of Liberty University, Jerry Falwell Jr. Dr. Falwell, we just set a record for how many times we could say Liberty University in 60 seconds.
Well, we appreciate it. We're honored to be working with you, Todd.
You know, a couple of things. We've been talking a lot about the work of the Falkirk Center, and it reminded me of something that happened just a couple of days ago. Young America's Foundation released this crazy video from the University of Virginia, not too far away from you guys, where they had a multicultural student center. I want to play this audio. This is a black student giving a message, sending a message to all the white youngsters who were actually in the room. Let's take a listen to that.
If y'all didn't know, this is the MSC, and frankly, there's just too many white people in here, and this is a space for people of color. So just be really cognizant of the space that you're taking up, because it does make some of us POCs uncomfortable when we see too many white people in here. It's only been open for 4 days, and frankly, there's the whole university for a lot of y'all to be at, and there's very few spaces for us. So keep that in mind. Thank you.
You know, it's kind of shocking to hear something like that, Dr. Falwell, but my understanding is this happens a lot on these university campuses across the country.
Well, you know, it doesn't surprise me. Well, actually, it should surprise me, because I spent my whole childhood listening to or watching people struggle to end segregation. And, you know, it seems like now the left is trying to bring it back, and it makes no sense to me. But the reason I say it's really not surprising is because it was always Democrats who supported segregation, who supported Jim Crow laws, before that who supported slavery, and so it's the same group. It's just different way of delivering their message now, and it's sad, because I just think we should look at each other. We're all just people, and we're all created equal and endowed by a creator with rights that our government is here to protect. And why can't we just drop all the identity politics and stop, putting everybody in a category, racial or gender or whatever, and let's just all be human beings and forget about all that stuff. It seems like it's convenient, because it's a way that the left garners power if they can divide people and create these categories and identity politics, and I think it's all a scam.
Well, yeah, I'm with you on that, Dr. Falwell, and which again is why it's so important that we have schools like Liberty University out there, because you guys just don't put up with that nonsense, and we appreciate that.
The tape you played is a perfect example of why Liberty University is prospering so much, because we're the exception to the rule. And parents and students are looking for a place where they don't have to hear all that nonsense. And so it's the number one reason that Liberty has done so well in the last 10, 12, 13, 14 years, is because we offer an alternative.
I was watching you on Fox News Channel the other day. You were talking about this story from the Associated Press reporting that the feds are investigating Ivy League schools like Harvard and Yale over unreported foreign funding. How big of a deal is this? How big of a story is this in the academic community?
Well, it's the part that is curious is why they didn't report it. The only rule they broke, from what I could tell, was they failed to report it, and the law requires it all be reported, but it was at least $6.5 billion. But what also was interesting is the countries it came from: Iran, Saudi Arabia, China, Russia, all countries that do not have America's best interests at heart. And I frankly don't think Ivy League leadership has America's best interests at heart either. I think they're part of the Blame America First crowd. I think they hate this country. They hate what it stands for, what it was built on, the values that it was built on. And so it's not surprising that they're in league with our enemies. But at what point does it become treason is my question.
That's a good question. And when I saw the Iranian money, I immediately thought about the rise of anti-Semitism on many of these university campuses. You have to wonder if there's got to be some sort of a correlation or connection there.
Yeah, the anti-Semitism is I talked earlier about how this trying to bring back segregation is coming from the left. Well, so is the new brand of anti-Semitism. When I was in law school, even nobody. It was just so frowned upon for anybody to be anti-Semitic in any way. It was, people talked about the Holocaust a lot, and they reminded each other often of what happened back in Nazi Germany, and now you don't hear that anymore. It's almost like it's being ignored, unless you watch the Discovery Channel or something. The mainstream media, you never hear them talk about the horrors of the Holocaust or what the Jewish people have, how they've been persecuted over the centuries. And just 30 years ago, it was a regular topic of conversation. So it just makes you wonder, usually with authoritarianism comes anti-Semitism, and right behind that comes the persecution of Christians. And I think that's what we're seeing happening in America today.
Absolutely. The other part of this conversation, and Lou Dobbs, one of my favorites over there, over at Fox. They sort of, some of the folks in the mainstream media went after you for pointing out that you guys at Liberty, you operate that like a business, and you treat students like customers, as if that is a bad thing. I think it's brilliant.
Oh, yeah. No, the Ivy League folks think they're too good to operate by regular business principles. They think somebody else should pay their bills. They think that it's beneath them to have to worry about petty things like money, and it's I just don't understand that type of thinking. It puts the burden on the taxpayers, on the donors, on the parents that are paying the tuition, on everybody except them to operate efficiently. And we struggled for years at Liberty before the school became prosperous, and we learned how to operate frugally, and we found out that if you just treat others, I'm talking about students now, like you want to be treated, it works well for a university just like it does for a business. But that's considered by the elites to be, I don't know how to say it, it's just not prestigious enough for them, and so it's like beneath them to think they have to operate that way. And I don't know why anybody think it's a bad thing. I'm with you.
Dr. Falwell, real quick before we let you go, earlier in the show, we had some folks on the program. They have just launched this Conservative Baptist Network. A lot of folks concerned about the direction of where the nation's largest non-Catholic denomination is going. And, of course, you talk about, roots, getting back to your roots, which is the whole point of the Falkirk Center, is understanding where you came from. How important is an organization like that? I mean, they announced it this morning. Over 900 people have already signed up to be a part of this. What do you make of that?
I think there's other ones forming too. I was speaking to somebody. Liberty's not a Southern Baptist university. It had a loose affiliation with the Southern Baptist Convention when it was taken over by the conservatives in the late 80s. But it seems to have gone back the other direction now. And it seems to be a sort of a deep state a deep state culture that's formed there. It's not the people that are sitting in the pews that have taken the denomination in the wrong direction. It's people who have never built anything, never made a payroll, never run a church, never built a church. People who just work in offices who are taking the denomination off to the left, and it's sad to see, but most Southern Baptist churches are really too small to pay their pastors a salary. Their pastors have to work and a regular job during the week, and so they really don't have the muscle to fight against what's happening over there. But there are other conservative movements that are forming in the Southern Baptist Convention to split off, and I think the whole thing is disintegrating. It's sad to say, but people that I know who are very, very high up in the Southern Baptist Convention nationally say that it's the beginning of the end for that whole denomination, and it's sad to see, but it's happening, and it's because the same people that are talking Trump every day in the government, the deep state, the same thing is formed in that denomination, and probably others that I don't know anything about. But it's I just hate to see it. Hate to see it happen to what was once a great denomination.
Well, Dr. Falwell, we're going to have to leave it right there. Appreciate you coming on the show as always.
Yes, always. I'm honored to be with you, Todd. Thank you so much for your friendship with Liberty University.
Jerry Falwell Jr., ladies and gentlemen, president of Liberty University, looking for a place to, for your kids to get an education. Maybe you want to go back and finish your degree. They have one of the best online degree programs in the world at Liberty University. And all you have to do, go to liberty.edu. All the information is there.